Good morning, it is day 3 today. It's just gone 9:20 in the morning. We had a good night's sleep on the boat, nice and dry, no rain. We've got forecast headwind today, so I'm just trying to beat that. We've got a short section of canal to row, and then we will be on the foot of Loch Oich, which is about half the length of Loch Oich, which is what Loch Lochy, sorry, which is what we sailed yesterday. It's just beautiful. Anyway, so just more of me doing this for the next hour or so. There's a swing bridge ahead. It's got a transit pontoon next to it, so we're just going to moor up to there. And I think I'll call Super Goose, which is the trailer sailor. Graham's already there on Dean, and see how far behind they will be. So they might want us to go through together. Oh, I'm doing it anyway. Let's motor on through then. This is the wreck of Ela Barn, a 50-ton herring drifter that broke free from its mooring and was wrecked on the shore here, just under the Inverness Castle ruin. And here is that ruin, Inverness Castle. Inverness Castle has stood here for over 400 years. And this is when the rain started. It's about 11:30, the wind dropped, and out came the oars again. We did anticipate being able to sail Loch Oich, so this may set us back a little bit. it might run out in a minute though. I think it might run out in a minute.
It's not worth putting on, it's not again, it's not that.
A brief burst of wind gave some respite from rowing.
That rain's coming down hard now. Well, not hard, but our visibility's disappeared a bit. Wind's dying a bit. Gone a bit miserable.
This is Cullochy Lock. We had to wait in this rain for the cruise barge to enter the lock. The barge took up the entire length of the lock, so we had to transit for the first time on our starboard side.
Thank you. So that lock was Cullochy Lock, or Cullochy Lock. I'll have to check that when I get back, if it's a locky or a lucky. It's still drizzling, it's not quite stopped raining, but blimey, what a wet day today. So now we've got probably an hour and a half's row, because we're on the canal again, and we're on the canal with no wind behind us, so we are rowing to the top of the flight of locks at Fort Augustus. Which then drops us down onto the foot of Loch Ness, which we will attempt tomorrow. Now the weather forecast tomorrow is good, well currently is good in as much as the wind is behind us, bad in as much as we're expecting some really heavy winds. More so in the late afternoon, early evening than in the morning and daytime tomorrow. But it will be what it will be, and if it's too mad we'll just hunker down and take an extra day in Augustus. I think it won't be quite as wet tomorrow.
nice because, as you can imagine, rowing in an open top boat all day long and sailing all day long in the rain, everything gets wet. 2 hours later we arrived, wet, cold and exhausted, at the top of Fort Augustus staircase locks. We were too late to transit down them, but we found a nice little spot to moor for the night. We made use of the showers, and along the sides of the locks were a number of places to eat and drink in the warm. The last hour's rowing was against the wind. It was a tough old day. So it's 8 o'clock Wednesday morning, top of Fort Augustus locks, and we're just trying to establish if they will let us through with this blue boat here and some of the other cruisers to so we can get on the lake first thing and be ahead of these winds. Right, here we are in the first top lock of Fort Augustus, rafted up. There's Graham.
Morning.
In his boat, Ondine, homemade boat, that beautiful. Skismo, and then Super Goose, and then we're going to walk them through. That's John up there walking us through. That's Frank, the skipper of Super Goose, and we're on our way down to Loch Ness. This is the bottom lock at Fort Augustus, and there is also a swing bridge to pass. The bridge forms part of the main A82 road from Fort William, so it can be quite busy this time in the morning. The lock keepers and swing bridge control have to coordinate well to keep the disruption to traffic to a minimum. So once we were out, they still had to load some pleasure cruisers and large barges into the lock.
I think it's got it sitting out on the left, the right, the left. It's got it sitting on the left. It'll be a hole.
And here we are entering the foot of Loch Ness. Here we will find a space on the pontoon to prep ourselves and the boats for a long sail up Loch Ness to Urquhart Bay.
Yeah, going over there.
I noticed this rather grand building whilst getting the boat ready, and I didn't know what it was. Turns out it is St Benedict's Abbey. It occupies the Grade A Gothic buildings of the original 1729 English fortification Fort Augustus, which later on were transformed into St Benedict's Abbey. So here we are, just leaving Fort Augustus and Locks, entering the Great Loch Ness. I wonder what it's going to have in store for us today. I hope it's kind to us. Wow. Wow. 13. So we're just over 3 hours into this sail, and I've been sat like this most of that 3 hours. The wind strength's definitely picking up now. Still got Undine and Super Goose in sight. I've now got Urquhart Castle in sight, which is probably about 20 minutes to half an hour sail away from me. Top of these waves, I think some of these waves are probably a couple of feet high. I'm surfing down them at like 7.7 knots. Yeah, and so making amazing progress. I can see the end of Loch Ness, but that's another probably a couple of hours away, actually, hour and a half maybe at this speed. But the wind's picking up this afternoon, and the gusts are getting stronger, like in the 30s. So Urquhart Castle is our destination point for today. There's a little harbour and an anchorage around the far side in a bay, which will be sheltered from the wind in this direction, so that'll be perfect. And there's been no rain today, yay! So this has been lovely. I mean, I've done a few tacks across the lake. That'll be a hard slog going the other way, definitely. Anyway, all is good. Getting across Urquhart Bay was a tad tricky. A bit more sheltered from the wind, but then huge gusts would come. Here's Skismo tucked into the corner. Some picnic tables there. Quite a nice place to stop. That's the lifeboat station property there. And then over here on the fence there is a sign with a QR code which you can use to pay for your mooring for the night. In our case that was £15. I'll just going to untether myself from Dochgarroch harbour wall, and then there's a mooring buoy with a ring on it just outside the channel entrance. I'm going to tie to that. I'm going to tie to that to put my sails up. This Skismo, go ahead, over.
This is Super Goose. I'm getting static, but if you can hear this, we're working at the loch. We're not far away from the headland, and if you're moving, we will see you when you pop round. If not, when we get there. Over.
All understood. We are 2 minutes from leaving the harbour. Over.
workable. When we get further around, when there's less headland between us, we might be able to make better comms. Over.
Right, okay. What am I going to do? Oh yes, so I'm going to sail to this buoy, tie up, and put my sails up. And I shall remind Graham to switch his radio on as I row past. The time now is 8:37. I missed it now, faffing about. Let's go back. That's better. The oar away. That's oar away. Take my reef tie off. Right, I've tied to this mooring buoy and rowed back to it. Right, I'm putting a reef in. It's pretty benign here in this shelter, but I'm not sure what we're going to expect when we get out on the lake, because the forecast is still fairly strong. Also, I need to keep with Graham today, and he's slower, so I don't want to be scooting off like I did yesterday. Anyway, get this sorted out. My super easy reefing system, which I do love. Super easy. Right, pull that tight. That's down. Water bottle at hand. Where's my coffee gone? There it is, down there. And then make sure I can get my head sail out without knotting things up. That's that. Don't need my gloves at the minute. Just wait for Graham now. Super Goose, says Skismo, over.
Super Goose, good morning, over.
Yeah, we're just tied to mooring balls outside Dochgarroch Harbour, putting our sails up. So we're minutes away from setting sail and getting out onto the loch. Skismo out. So what I've done there is, it's wind behind me. It's quite strong. Well, it's not very strong, but it, you know, it is, I suppose. Bottom end of a force 4, I think. So I had one reef in already. So what I did is I got the head sail out, I hove to, put a second reef in, which left very little sail left to bring in. And then I carried on and I wrapped the rest of the mainsail round the boom. And I found that much easier now than just bringing the whole sail down into the boat, because bringing it into the boat gave me loads of windage, and the boat is just all over the place, and I can't really move anywhere because there's too much sail on the floor. So I've just discovered that reef in, second reef in, wrap the rest of the sail around the boom is so much easier and creates less windage and quicker and tidier, much better. So now we're going into this channel, leaving Loch Ness behind us, and so I can't sail in this little bit of channel, it's buoyed, so I'm just going in on the head sail now, and that gives me more well, it gives me full control of the boat, of course, so I can just fill the head sail as I go in, and then get the oars out.
I bought a boat hook specifically for this trip, and this is the only time I used it, and that was as a whisker pole. Approaching Dochgarroch pontoons now, and I'm just using the natural windage of the boat to drift in. I can see Super Goose and Ondine ahead, so I shall aim for them. John's having an afternoon nap. Dochgarroch offers a nice cafe and gift shop, and it is also one of the places on the canal that visitors can get onto pleasure cruises for a trip onto Loch Ness. And for the boaters there is also the usual shower and toilet blocks.
So we got out of Loch Ness into Dochgarroch quite early today because we had a good push up Loch Ness, and so Frank on Super Goose, there's Frank, skippering, invited us out for a sail at the top of Loch Ness, and we've got, what we got today, Frank? Force 4?
Yeah, pushing 5 out now, I think.
Force 4, pushing 5, Frank says. And Super Goose, so Frank is a GP14 sailor, but he treated himself to this Beneteau 21.7, which he says is just a big dinghy.
She has an identity crisis. She doesn't know whether she's a dinghy or a yacht.
I'm quite jealous of the cabin down here, and the oh, and you get a crew. There's the crew. That's John. Yeah, 12 volt power, lights, a toilet, all sorts of things. Inside we've got a V-berth at the front, we've got places to put stuff, we've got a cooler, that is a lifting keel. Space behind it is for a gas canister and galley, and yeah, it's all very nice in here. And then a companionway there underneath is Portaloo and stuff. So you can take good shelter from the bad weather in here. After playing about here for a while, we returned to the pontoons at Dochgarroch and enjoyed a very sunny and relaxing evening. And it looks like I have a bit of tidying up to do before I start making dinner. Look how busy that boat is. And so now, the last day, it was just a simple case of a 4 nautical mile row to our exit point. The Caledonian staff were so attentive, accommodating and pleasant, it was an absolute pleasure to be part of their world for 6 days. It was a truly wonderful experience from start to finish. Even though the weather was sometimes uncomfortable, the scenery was just outstanding and the whole trip was a wonderful experience. Ondine, Skismo and Super Goose were taken out of the water courtesy of Marina Inverness. Thanks to them for letting us use their slipway. As always, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed my 8 days on a dinghy.